A Soul Reaper elite organization? The Royal Special Task Force, Zero Division, that appears in Bleach is one of the most important Soul Reaper organizations in Soul Society, along with the 13 Court Guard companies. This time, we'd like to take a look at the Zero Division. We'll also take a close look at the personalities and abilities of the members of the team, so do watch until the end. Zero Division. There are only 5 members of the Zero Division, all of which are captains. It's said that the 5 of them are more powerful than the entire army of the 13 Court Guard companies. They guard the royal palace where the Soul King, who stands on top of the Soul Reapers and rules Soul Society, resides. Normally, they don't go down to the Quiet Spirit Court and leave the protection of the Quiet Spirit Court entirely to the 13 Court Guard companies. In order to get into the Zero Division, you have to create something that will remain in the history of Soul Society, and for it to be recognized by the Soul King as the history of the Soul Society itself. The captain who was able to join Zero Division is given a city called Zero Division Detached Palace and assigned to protect the Soul King Palace as a Royal Special Task Force. Kirinji Tenjiro. Kirinji Tenjiro is a Soul Reaper who also goes by the nickname Hot Spring Demon. He's a specialist in healing and is also the person who taught Unohana Retsu the demon arts for healing, called Kaido or Turnway. In Tenjiro Kirin's palace, there's a white hot spring called White Bone Hell, which squeezes blood and spiritual pressure from the body, and a red hot spring called Blood Pond Hell, which replenishes blood and spiritual pressure. And by alternately soaking in these 2 hot springs, all kinds of wounds can be treated. In the series, even Kuchiki Byakuya was beyond help by Unohana Retsu standards, was able to heal completely by using these hot springs. Incidentally, the hot spring that heals just by soaking in Urahara Kisuke's training room was also created by imitating the hot spring in Kilin Palace. Tenjiro was once a Soul Reaper who was known as the lightning fast Tenjiro and could move at a super speed that even Suì-Fēng couldn't react to. The Zanpakuto he uses is called Kinpika or Gilded Splendor, and when released, the blade takes on the shape of a glowing halberd. However, unfortunately, he was defeated by Quincy before he could show off his abilities in the series. Hikifune Kiryu. Hikifune Kiryu is a Soul Reaper who was nicknamed the Ruler of Grain. She was promoted to the Zero Division 110 years ago, and someone who Sarogaki Hiyori looked up to like a mother. She was recognized by the Soul King for developing the concept of substitute soul, a temporary soul, and the technology to ingest this soul into one's body, and was promoted from the 13 Court Guard Company's 12th Division Captain to the Royal Special Task Force. She's good at cooking, and in the story, Ichigo and his friends were able to gain different levels of spiritual pressure and power up by eating Kiryu's food. The full course meal, which contains the essence of Kiryu's substitute soul, is prepared by pouring all their spiritual pressure into it. As such, even her normally chubby body, which is used to store spiritual pressure, loses a lot of weight when she finishes cooking all the dishes. In case you're wondering, the substitute soul pills that Ichigo used to force his soul out of his body when he was transformed into a Soul Reaper in the human world was also created using Kiryu's technology. In the battle with the Quincy, she succeeded once in trapping Yhwach and the others in a cage of life set up with giant trees, but was defeated by the Shuttstaffel resurrected by Yhwach consecration. Nimaya Oetsu. Nimaya Oetsu is a Soul Reaper who also holds the name God of the Sword. He was also the creator of the original Zanpakuto, Asauchi or Shallow Hit, and knows the locations of all the Zanpakuto. If a Zanpakuto breaks in its Bankai state, it's said that it's unrepairable. But when Ichigo's and Renji's sword broke in their Bankai state, they were forced by Oetsu to train by fighting Asauchi or Shallow Hit, and as a result, were able to have their swords remade into a strengthened Zanpakuto. Oetsu is not only good in making Zanpakuto, but also in using them. In the series, he uses a sword called Sheath Dodger, which is so sharp that it cannot be sheathed. Sheath Dodger is a sword that does not chirp and even leave blood on the blade, and according to Oetsu, is a failed product as it leaves no work for a bladesmith to sharpen it. In the fight against the Quincy, Oetsu quickly overwhelmed the Shuttstaffel with this Sheath Dodger, but unfortunately was shot in the chest and defeated by the Shuttstaffel, who was resurrected by Yhwach's consecration. Shitara Senjumaru. Shitara Senjumaru is a Soul Reaper who also holds the name Great Weave Guard. From her appearance of having a 6-arm prosthetic hand on her back, and a description of her and Kurotsuchi Mayuri exchanging sarcastic remarks in the work, we can imagine that Senjumaru was also in the Shinigami Research and Development Institute and engaged in friendly competition with Urahara and Mayuri. Since she appears in fewer scenes than the other Zero Division members, many details about her abilities are unknown, but based on the description of how she recreated Renji and the other Shihakusho, we believe that Senjumaru was recognized by the Soul King for creating something related to the Shihakusho. In the battle with the Quincy, she played an active role in defeating one of the Quincy, but she was also defeated by the Shuttstaffel, who was resurrected by Yhwach's consecration. Yosube Ichibe. Yosube Ichibe is a Soul Reaper who also holds the name High Priest. The origin of his alias is from his ability of calling the true name, and for being the person who has given names to every object and event in Soul Society, and knowing the true names of all the Zanpakuto. He's also the leader of the Zero Division, the top of all the Reapers, and is considered by Yhwach to be one of the special threats. The Zanpakuto that Ichibe uses is called One Written Character, with the release command being Painted Black, where a large amount of ink is scattered, and those that are painted black will lose half their names and have their abilities halved, and their ownership transferred to Ichibe. A target that has been blacked out by the Shikai, One Written Character, will have its name newly engraved in white letters by the Bankai, White Brush One Written Character, which can also rewrite the opponent's existence to weaken them. Ichibe is already a powerful fighter with this ability, but he also possesses other powerful abilities such as Thousand Rai Heavenly Hand, where a giant hand appears and blasts the opponent 1,000 miles away, and the Magnificent Death Mausoleum, which returns the target's blood, flesh, and everything else to nothing by stealing 100 knights from Soul Society 100 years in the future. These immensely powerful techniques briefly overwhelmed Yhwach, but Ichibe was helplessly defeated by him, who had unleashed his true power. However, Ichibe even has the ability to regenerate even if his body is torn apart, and in the series, he was able to revive himself by having Ichigo call his name. And that's all for our summary on the Zero Division. While it's unfortunate that the Zero Division was defeated by Yhwach and the Shuttstaffel in the main story, it was mentioned in the spin-off novel that Ichibe revived everyone who was wiped out. In addition to the abilities of each individual, the Zero Division, which does not collapse easily, is an organization with the abilities that are truly worthy of being the Royal Special Task Force. The Zero Division is still an organization with many mysteries, some of which are not described in the main story. We're sure that there's a lot you may know and have considered, so if you don't mind, we'd love to hear from you about the Zero Division in the comments section. This channel sequentially uploads amazing insights and rankings. Make sure you don't miss anything by subscribing to our channel.